let's explore the Octone, which I'm very excited to be able to share as the first exclusive for the Glasgow Synth Guild. So Octone is an 8-step sequencer, which got quite a lot of features packed into it. So for this demonstration, I'm going to put together a basic subtractive voice I've been playing with, which is sawtooth wave from the CSL through Yodel for a bit of saturation, and that's going into the Filtron from MRG, which is a very nice low-pass filter. And end of the stage, I've got I guess actually a vintage mutable clouds, as that'll give me a little bit of ambience in there. Okay, so you might notice the sync button is yellow, which normally means soft sync of bottom to top, but this is the wrong way around. So this is actually hard syncing top to bottom, which is giving me a bit of harmonic super saw type effect. There we are. That's a nice starting point. Okay, so let's get some notes into this synth. So I'm going to patch from the CV output, which is the low preoctave output from the Octone. On this hardware iteration, I've got a really precise calibration built in, that each Octone is done by hand. That gives a really precise 0 to 5 volt range for, especially when the quantized scales are engaged. It means it's really precise for pitch control. At the moment, there's no quantized scale engaged, so this is going to be just it's going to be fairly dissonant. That's 8 sequenced voltage steps. Let's get things a bit more musical. So the Octone's got 6 quantized scales built in. They're globally selected through cycling through them via this button. First up, we've got this circle lit, and this is 12-tone chromatic scale. Now, here's a trick. When the Octone's currently sequencing, at any point you can double tap and hold on a button, and it's going to hold the sequence on that step. So it's a really useful mechanic for additioning a particular note and fine-tuning it. There we go. First quantized scale is 12-tone chromatic. Already that's a lot more musical, even though it's chromatically dissonant. But at least we're in some sort of equal temperament. Next up, we have triangle, which I always use as major. I'm not sure how standard that is. Let me hold on that. Ionian mode, major scale. Next up we have a pentagon, pointing up the way, which I've decided means major pentatonic. Next up, down-facing pentagon, which of course is minor pentatonic. Kind of the easiest one to get some sort of musical riff from. Last two we have harmonic minor. And last, to round it off, we have whole tone. Everyone's favourite scale. Okay, for most of these examples, I'm going to stick with minor pentatonic, just because it's a nice, easy scale to get something that's a bit more of a musical riff. That's a nice starting point, I think. Okay, let's look at getting this more percussive. We can see here, top left, this is our master clock output. So that's blinking away per step. I'm going to pull from that and patch it into the first envelope here on the Zadar. Okay, here we go. So I've got this set to quite a snappy, like one-shot decay envelope. And let's patch that into our filter cutoff CV. There we go, a bit more classic subtractive. Okay, so far this is nice and simple, 8-step sequence, clockwise circular motion, and you can see there's the main step lights going around. But all LEDs are currently lit, and that indicates which steps are generating a trigger pulse from our master clock output. So you can see here I've disabled some of the steps, and we've got a more curated pattern of when our envelope's firing. Per step, we also have a dedicated gate output jack. So these are essentially following the bright LED. So whenever a step is on that current step, then we've got a high gate from the signal. So to test that, we could choose our third step. We're just one-shotting this envelope from any time it hits that 1/3 step. And that's regardless of whether the step is engaged to the master clock output. So I could have only half my clocks going here. And regardless of if they're engaged or not, I can get a gate signal from per step. So quite a nice example of this. Let me engage all my steps again. I'm going to patch out of one of these. Let's go with this step. And I'm going to patch that into C. So our third envelope generator on Zadar. So every time it hits that 5th step, we're getting this decay envelope coming through. And I'm going to use that to generate a reverb throw. So I'll be able to patch that into my blend CV input. And that's throwing up the reverb amount on cloud every time it hits that step. Or I could change what step's doing the throw. That's pretty cool. So you can see already, like the utility of this is in a bigger system. You don't necessarily need to use it for sequenced voltage steps. This can be used as a clocking system for clocking events within a bigger patch, a bigger system, which gets very fun. Okay, so let's modify this further. I'm going to look here at the steps pot. I'll engage all my master clock triggers. Let's go back to that high note as the reverb throw. As I reduce this step pot here, I'm going from maximum 8 steps all the way down to 1 step if I want. So this is the step reduction or step count. Very nice if you want these sort of odd meter patterns, compound time. Pretty fun. Okay, direction, this has all been clockwise so far, with variation of number of steps. The lower toggle switch here, I put it to the center position, we're getting random step selection. So this is a random algorithm which I've curated so that it will never repeat a step. So it's always going to force it to go to a new step, unless of course you've only got one step active via the step count pop. Yeah, I find this to be quite a musical way of implementing random in this context, where if it does land on a repeat step, it never allows that to play, it forces it to move to the next one. Last position on this toggle switch is pendulum. You see that's just bouncing back and forth, pendulum ping pong style. You get very different rhythmic meters when it's in this ping pong pattern versus straight. It's very performative. So far this has all been internally clocked, and I'm using the rate knob here to define the rate of the sequence. So all the way down, and this is a really slow ticking over pattern, goes up to pretty fast. Then if I want to integrate this with a bigger patch with a master clock input jack. So if I patch something in, a dummy cable, that's actually breaking the internal clock, which goes to the normal of that jack. So it means that I could switch to, I'll go to my fourth envelope from Zadar and just use that as a clock signal. So this could be any clock signal. This could be coming from a much bigger system where you've got other sequencers tying this in, clocking it in time. A nice trick is also using the RETRIG capabilities. So this is invaluable when you're using a bigger system with multiple sequencers, having the method to reset to the first step. So the RETRIG button will always override, but the external clock input for RETRIG can be used from any signal, but a nice trick as well is to self-patch. This is using the gate output of the second to last step, and it's forcing it to skip these last two steps. So, same effect as if we were just reducing the step count. But there's some extra tricks where if we go to random steps, the way this will actually work with the random algorithm that forces it to move on, I can remove a step at random from it. So let's go down to, there we go. So that's only the first three steps engaged in the sequence. Bring the rate up a bit. Pitch that one up. I'm going to remove the second step from the sequence. So anytime it lands on that second step, it's forcing it to the next one. Yeah, self-patching. Okay, let's dig in a little bit deeper. I'm going to put the top toggle switch over to the right-hand side now, and this is tune mode. So this is essentially a manual mode for the Octone to behave. Where it's now manually controlled 8 stored voltages. And here, when I go to this 5th step, because I've still got this patched going to a reverb throw on the... That's enough to trigger the Zeta, apparently. Every time it lands on this 5th step, it's sending an envelope to my blend CV. There's a way of manually controlling gate states from these 8 parallel outputs. At the moment I've been riding the cutoff frequency knob manually. If I want to gain some control over the master clock output, that's done from the RETRIG button. Yeah, quite a performative sequencer when you're in manual mode. The tune mode also allows for some programming capabilities for the center switch position of the Octone. And here we're getting something new. Speed this up slightly. And here we've got a more stochastic pattern of clocks and where the steps are repeating. So at the moment this is repeating for 8 steps, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So in the center position, this is step repeat mode, where in tune mode I can select step at a time, press RETRIG, and that's going to highlight how many step repeats there are. So this is all 8 lighting up, 2, although that's masked by it being selected, 2, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. The step counts are programmed in by the step pot. So let's go to 4 repeats. 4, 4. This should be all 8 steps repeating 4 times. Step repeats, and it can be up to 8 per step. This up, put these down. Okay, so this is now 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, 2, 8. So I've also got control over how the master clock output behaves. So at the moment, when I land on this last 8 step, which is repeating 8 times, I'm getting a retrigger from the master clock output on every repeated step. If I go back to tune mode and double tap, you can see each time you double tap, it's alternating between a short flash and a long flash on the scale LED. So let's go to a short flash. So that's turned off the step repeats applied to the master clock output. Adds a lot of control, much more than just an 8-step sequencer. It's now up to 8 step repeats per step, 8-step sequencer. So let's go with something that's a bit more sporadic. Just essentially randomizing my number of step repeats per step. Okay, so I don't like that burst of step repeats on that one, so double tap there. Add more randomness to it. So I've now set it to random step selection. All 8 steps are engaged and enabled, but each one's got a different duration, essentially, through number of step repeats. Say I want some more activity from the clock, I could go in and engage clock repeats on certain steps. Yeah, much more of a stochastic sequencer in this configuration. So yeah, that is a single octone. I'm going to do a separate video on a pair of octones which chain together give you a hexadecatone, I think, if that's a thing. Hope you enjoy.